Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to my channel, My Yard Sale. Thanks for stopping in. Today I want to talk a little bit about how my last couple 10 days to 2 weeks has been and some of the things that I've had to deal with, and hopefully these are things that other people aren't having to deal with, but if they are, at least they'll know that maybe they're not alone because this stuff is pretty difficult. So some things I want to talk about are, first off, I was very long term diabetic, pre-diabetic. I'm 99% sure of, and I have reversed that. So I'm not diabetic now. I know my blood sugars are good at this point. I don't really eat any sugar, so it'd be hard for them to not be. I don't eat very many carbs. I mostly eat just meat, vegetables, and beans. So I'm pretty sure that my blood sugars are normal and adequate. So some of the things that this long-term diabetes, pre-diabetes did to me is I have neuropathy in my hands. I have retinopathy in my eyes. I have just basic metabolic dysfunction that has been extremely difficult. And this is what I'm hoping that I'll be able to reverse pretty quickly. So that's what I'm going to talk about, some of these things today, some of the reverses I feel like. And of course I am having to talk about what it feels like because some of this stuff you can get blood tests for. Maybe some of this stuff you can get doctor's advice for, but for the most part, at least as far as I can tell, there's not really tests. They either know or they don't know, and it's how a person feels. Like I know if my eyesight is better or worse. And I do feel like my eyesight is starting to get a little bit better. And it's weird because it's one eye or the other. Like my left eye is not as good as my right eye. And as an example, I weigh myself pretty regularly because I'm trying to gain some weight back. So I don't weigh myself like regularly every day, but I try to weigh myself every time I walk by the room that has the scale in it. And, I just kind of keep a mental note of where I am physically. And I know where the numbers are on the scale. I've had the scale for 20 years. Like, I know where the numbers are. I know where 110 pounds is. I know where 120 pounds is. I know where all the tickers are. But I can't actually see the numbers. Like, my eyes just don't work together to focus on the numbers. This week I was able to actually see the numbers, so I was happy about that. Like that's a plus side for me, just to be able to see these things. That is a definite plus thing. I'm pretty happy about that. The neuropathy in my left hand seems to be getting a little bit better. It's weird because my sides, like one side or the other, one was worse than the other. I didn't notice this back then, but I noticed it in the last probably year that one side has been worse than the other. Definitely in my eyes and my hands, definitely. It feels like the neuropathy in my left hand seems to be getting a little bit better. And this is the hand that I get the tremors in. I get these weird shaking tremory things, and I don't completely understand it. I think it's because the muscles and the nerves are regrowing and it's trying to rebuild the way that it works. I don't completely know, but it does feel like the neuropathy in my left hand is getting a little bit better. Like um, I have more sensory feelings in that hand, whereas before it was just numb and tingly, and there was really no feelings. So I am starting to get some feelings back in my left hand, which is a good thing. That's another positive thing for me. I'm pretty happy about that. So this is 2 years into all this, figuring this out, and probably a year and a half into going completely keto and sometimes carnivore. Like this has taken forever, and I'm 99% sure that what I'm dealing with now is the nerves regrowing. I watched a video on Instagram of some couple that had a baby, and they were taking videos of their baby walking from one parent to the other parent. And I was thinking, holy mackerel, that's what I look like walking down the hallway in my house. I'm all arms out, big eyes, ready to go down and fall any second. I feel like I felt the same way. And I know that it's different, but it feels kind of the same way. So one of the other things that's really weird that's happening is and I read that this is a positive thing. I'm starting to get itchy patches of skin, mostly on my hands, which is weird. I'll get these itchy patches on the back of my hand or on the side of my arm, on my wrist, um, just like little tiny itchy patches. And at first, I thought it was a mosquito, or I thought maybe it was bugs, or I don't know. But I would turn the light on and check and make sure, and there's no bugs. It's just my skin being itchy and inflamed. And I don't know if this is the inflammation affecting me or if it's the actual um, reversal of this. I think I'm starting to get feeling back in my skin, whereas maybe before I didn't have the feeling. Which takes me to the next thing. I'm getting this weird feeling. I swear I can feel hair growing in my face. Like I know I have like facial hair obviously, but I'm starting to feel like I can actually feel the hair growing, which is very weird. And I can feel it in my eyebrows too. And I don't have like really crazy long hairs, but it's like I can almost feel like I can feel the hair growing, which I don't know what that is. Maybe that's because I hope that's because the nerves are serving that area of skin, that patch of skin that makes it so that I can feel something I maybe have been able to feel a long time ago, but just never could because of my particular situation with neuropathy and whatever. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it feels like if I don't shave pretty regularly, and I'm actually due for a shave today, but if I don't shave pretty regularly, it's actually it's not uncomfortable, it's not painful. Nothing I'm experiencing today is painful. It's just uncomfortable. And I can feel it. I can feel it feels like the hair growing out of my skin and my face. It's hard to explain it. But I can it almost feels like I can feel it. So I think you can probably tell from this video it's sunny outside today. The weather's actually nice again. I'm expecting warmer weather in the next couple of weeks, and finally hopefully I won't be complaining about the weather because it's supposed to be warmer, and I'm a more warmer person, so I'm happy about that. That's good news. So one of the things I found out or I read about in the last probably 10 days is ginger, the ginger root. And I'll be honest, I've always used ginger in things that I've cooked. I make a lot of Asian flavored food, or did make a lot of Asian flavored food. I used to make a lot of rice, and I would always use ginger in any of those dishes. I made soup, I would always use ginger. So I stumbled on a video post that I, it just made me want to look more into ginger and how it can help or hurt. Supposedly, there is blood sugar benefits in eating ginger, and it's obviously fiber, and there's a lot of benefits to it. But so I've been adding ginger to my food, to my beef, and to anything that I'm cooking. I'm adding ginger. So in the next couple of weeks, I'll definitely report back to how that seems to be helping. I like the flavor. I think that if people hate the flavor of ginger, this is not good news. But if you like the flavor of ginger, I'm understanding that you can use it to somehow help your blood sugars. And secondly, I read that it actually will curb your hunger. So you can use ginger in food, in beef, or in whatever you're cooking. You can shred some ginger or just drop a couple ginger chunks in it. And supposedly it will make you less hungry. I don't know if that's true or not. I made a big pot of my beef dish, and I did put quite a bit of ginger in it. I can taste the ginger in it, but it doesn't make me less hungry necessarily. And it doesn't make me feel filled up necessarily, but it tastes good, and it's, supposedly according to posts and according to Google, it's supposedly good for me, good for you, good for us. So I am still sticking to my keto diet, 100 grams of carbs a day. Um, I have found myself adding a little bit of sugar treats into my diet, but still sticking under that 100 grams of carbs. If I eat like all meat and vegetables, like low carb vegetables, I might have a treat. If I eat higher carb vegetables or higher carb food, then I won't have any treats. But so I'm definitely still sticking to this keto diet, and I wish I could say that it feels better, but it really doesn't. For me, I think I'm not too far beyond, but I feel like I'm beyond the whole A1C test and A1C. I mean, I'm beyond the blood sugar thing. I just have to keep my blood sugars down and keep reversing this whole metabolic thing. So I'm having this thing where like my bones are not necessarily snapping quite as much, but there is still a pretty serious, pretty significant tension in my bones. Definitely in my hands. Like I can feel it in my hands, my elbows, and when I wake up in the morning and I throw this 5 pounds of blankets off me that I've been sleeping under all night, I can feel in my shoulders. My shoulders kind of snap, and it doesn't necessarily feel good like it used to when I was a kid and I would crack my knuckles when I played baseball. It doesn't necessarily feel good like that, but it does feel a little bit less. It feels like there's less tension in the joint. So it's very strange how that feels. Again, nothing that I'm experiencing today is painful. It's just uncomfortable is all it is. So the tension in my hands and definitely the tension in my forearms. And I'm hoping that this is the nerves growing down my arms, and I'm hoping in another month that I won't have this anymore. I hope. It's all hope for me at this point. So one of the things I want to talk about is inflammation. Like inflammation for me is for real. Like if I eat the wrong thing or eat too much of the wrong thing, the inflammation really, like, it doesn't wreck me, but it makes it so that my balance is not secure, and makes it so that my strength is questionable, whether I can stand up or walk away from the chair I'm sitting in. It makes all that questionable. And I wanted to just make a quick note of, I can tell when inflammation is starting on in my body, because it immediately, I mean, apparently I think it probably just makes me pee a lot more. Like I'm constantly going pee, regardless of whether I drink a lot of water or not, even though I try to drink a ton of water to stay hydrated. But I can feel like the skin on my scalp and the skin on my face along my nose gets very dry and not necessarily itchy, but it just gets very dry and scaly. And then the skin behind my ears gets very scaly, which is, it's just strange because it's not like all the time. It's just when I know that I'm having inflammation, I can confirm it with these things. Like if I am inflamed, my scalp becomes very very scaly. Like it's very, I don't even, it's like dandruff, but it's not dandruff. It's like dandruff, but it's not dandruff. It's just really scaly scalp. It's like if you take the skin and then if you soaked all the water out of it and I peed it all out, and what's left is like what is like the dandruff that I have. It's more like dry scalp, and I can feel this coming on, or I can notice this anytime I'm inflamed, and I haven't quite figured out how to stop the inflammation necessarily, but I'm trying to drink more water. I don't know if everybody drinks like a ton of water every day. I try to drink a lot of water, but I clearly don't drink enough water. So I'm trying to force myself to drink more water. I don't know, how do people force themselves to drink more water. I don't like water. I don't drink Coke or soda, but I definitely don't get excited about drinking a big glass of water. In the morning, I do because I know I have to. If I didn't have to, then I probably wouldn't even drink water. I don't know. How do you guys force yourselves to drink water when you know, it's not delicious? It's not, I mean, I try to drink tea once in a while. Every now and then I'll have a no sugar hot cocoa. Now that it's getting warmer, I probably won't be doing that anymore. But I add liquids into my diet with those things, but I don't know. What's the trick to drinking water besides just forcing yourself to drink water? Any suggestions? I'd love to hear it. Point down below in the comments. That would be awesome. So I hope this has been an interesting post. I know that it's not that interesting, but I've definitely made some progress, and I'm hoping that my eyes in the next, I don't know, 7 days, 10 days start focusing clearly together. And I'm hoping I can get this thing with my hands and I'm hoping in the next 10 days or so that some of these things will start to resolve. It feels like some days they feel more resolved than others, and then something happens. It's not necessarily what I'm eating. I don't really know what it is because every day I eat the same thing. So I don't know what it is if my body is just responding differently. I take the same I take the same like vitamins. I take all the same stuff every day. I eat the same thing for the most part every single day. So it must just be my body like reacting, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, I hope this is an interesting post. Probably not that interesting, but if you're dealing with any of this stuff, then I'm sure that I mentioned a couple of things that are going to resonate with you, and maybe if there's something that I can help take some of the tension off of your plate, that'd be great, because this stuff is hard to figure out. It's hard to understand, and it's extremely difficult to deal with, to live with. This is like the hardest thing that I've ever had to deal with. Anyways, I hope you're having a great day. It's the weekend, so enjoy your weekend. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye bye.